Genshin Impact is not a perfect game. Every game in this world is not perfect in any way, shape, or form. That includes Genshin Impact. Whether it could be the problem with game design or content wise, here are the problems with Genshin Impact. Okay, so I'd like to get to the point here because there are some technical terms that I will incorporate with bow mechanics. Both PC, mobile, and console are affected to this, so I will explain when the term came up. So without further ado, let's dissect what bow characters can do and what are the problems with bow characters. This is Amber. She's going to be the example for a bow character. So, a bow character, like other weapon types, have normal attacks as well. What differentiates bow characters are that, well, they attack with a certain range, but in return, the attacks are not AoE, instead they are single target. What defines the bow weapon type is the aim mode as an alternative to the universal charge attack from other weapon types. So, in this mode, the character will aim down their sights and show you this unique camera angle so you can aim freely at an enemy in the same style as most third-person shooters, like for example Fortnite, Warframe, or the remakes of the Resident Evil series. Other than that, this mode is unique for the ability to coat the arrow in elemental damage when fully charged, and the fact that headshots with the bow is a guaranteed critical hit, so the arrow will deal a substantial amount of damage, making it a good system for skill expression. Despite that, there are quite a lot of technical problems that I just want to talk about that makes me basically reluctant to use these bow characters. First, I want to talk about the bow's normal attacks. The normal attack is okay. They are flashy and the animations are great. The problem with normal attacks for bows is the range of it is not far enough or the targeting system targets the wrong enemy. Most of the time, the auto-targeting system of Genshin Impact lets you automatically face the enemy that is near enough to you. But sometimes it doesn't work because the targeting system targets the nearest target to you instead of the one you want to target first, or that if it is too far, the character will just attack on whatever the character is facing. So the normal attack doesn't feel good when used, and it's problematic when some characters' kit is based on their normal attacks. Now the main problem with the bow's functionality comes with the aim mode. On paper, I reiterate, it's a great concept for dealing the most damage with good skill expression. But in practice, it is a different story. So getting a feel of the bow myself, I noticed there was something off with how the camera works. Here, when I'm aiming the bow, I am trying to aim for the head for the guaranteed critical strike. But the aiming mode feels floaty, and as a result, I at most times miss my shots because the aiming feels off. This is mouse acceleration. Mouse acceleration is a feature in most games that makes your mouse essentially have an acceleration and deceleration. I will start explaining by using the process of moving your mouse. For demonstration, I will use Minecraft for visual aid. Here is the first state of your mouse. It is staying still, and as a result, the camera stops at that position. Then you, for example, move your mouse to the right, the camera will also move to the right. But notice when at the start, with mouse acceleration, they will need to accelerate the speed of the camera in contrast to the one without mouse acceleration, where it is instantly in that certain speed. The same also applies when you stop the mouse from moving it. Notice that with mouse acceleration, the camera will have to decelerate slowly in contrast to without mouse acceleration that it stops immediately. So, if you don't understand this, focus on the acceleration and deceleration point of the feature. Most players prefer to not use mouse acceleration, especially in games that has aiming, because they prioritize accuracy on the aiming over anything else. Unfortunately, the mouse acceleration feature needs more time and space in between the mouse still state and moving state. So as a result, the feature results in more inaccuracies. And furthermore, this doesn't only apply on PC, but also apply on mobile and console as well. Just replace the mouse with your finger for mobile or the analog stick for console. Now, some of you might think, well, this is stupid. Why would anyone want to use this feature? Well, the answer is quite simple really. It looks cool and cinematic. In Minecraft, the option to toggle on the mouse acceleration is called toggle cinematic mode. So really, the main reason for it is so the game looks cool and cinematic. Genshin Impact's combat system is a hack and slash gameplay in which 4 out of 5 weapon types doesn't need to aim for them to be useful in combat. So, Genshin Impact opt in to defaulting mouse acceleration to on, because most of the weapon types or characters benefits from it in form of looking cinematic while having no repercussion for having it on. The bow, however, is the only weapon type to have a drawback for having mouse acceleration on. As mentioned before, in all of first-person shooters or third-person shooters that heavily relies on aiming, mouse acceleration is encouraged to be off, since mouse acceleration hinders your aiming capabilities. Either they add time in moving your camera so you can't react fast enough, or they make offsets by having a time for slowing down the camera so your shots won't be accurate. So in Genshin Impact, your bow shots won't be as accurate as other games, while it has to be accurate because the aim shot system where headshots are guaranteed critical hits, where high damages are usually sourced from critical hits. Other problems that I noticed with aim shots for the bow is the fact that charging the bow is time-based rather than input-based. What I mean by that is that the way you have to charge your bow for a fully charged shot is by waiting for the bow to be fully charged instead of you have to hold the fire button and then release when the bow is fully charged. At face value, there's not really a problem with this one, because it is serviceable. But serviceable doesn't mean that it feels good or it is better. It just works. So what's the problem with time-based charge rather than input-based charge? Well, according to numerous examples of games that are using a bow, every game agrees that input-based charge is superior, because input-based charge for a bow feels like you are the one who operates the bow, not the game. Overwatch, Apex Legends, Warframe, Minecraft, or even Skyrim has the same operation of drawing your bow. Hold left click to charge your bow, and then release. It is reflected to real-life bow. Hold left click means you pull the string of the bow and then release to let go of the arrow. The advantage of input-based charge over time-based charge is that the shots of every arrow will have an impact to it, because you actively involve in the process of shooting the arrow, and in addition to the involvement, the bow is easier to perfectly time the fully charged shot, so maximum DPS can be achieved easily. With all of these examples, it is strange that Genshin Impact's aim shot are time-based rather than input-based. Well, actually, an input-based charge alternative is there in Genshin Impact. You just hold left click while not in aiming mode. Now this is a problem. You see, holding left click from normal camera leads you to the aiming mode camera. And when you finish shooting that shot you're charging, you go back to normal camera and the process repeats. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to play like this, because this amount of camera movement in such a short amount of time is disorienting and possibly nauseating. And furthermore, switching camera that often won't be good for aiming purposes, which is already a problem before, but amplifies again with this mechanic. So to summarize, these are the problems that both characters have in Genshin Impact. Normal attack's auto-targeting system is janky and sometimes doesn't work as intended. It prioritizes the nearest target instead of the actual target you wanted to attack and defeat first. Genshin Impact defaults mouse acceleration into on to enhance the cinematic effect of the gameplay, but in return, the aim mode of both weapon types is suffering from inaccuracies due to the mouse acceleration. The aim mode charge is time-based instead of input-based charge. That is universally the control for charging a bow in all games with bows in them. There is an input-based charge, but you have to hold click or attack while not in aim mode, making the camera in and out of the aim mode quickly, which is disorienting and nauseating. So as tradition of covering problems of Genshin Impact, I will also suggest the solution to these problems. For the problem of the normal attack, I think it's better for Genshin Impact to have a lock-on targeting system. A lock-on targeting system is basically a norm for action-based combat these days, and I'm quite surprised that Genshin Impact doesn't have this in the first place. As evident from the name, a lock-on targeting system is when you hinge the camera, posture, and the attacks of the character to focus on the enemy that is locked onto. I'm pretty sure this is without question the best targeting system, because it lets you target the specific enemy you wanted to defeat first, and it also solves the problem where the bow seems like it has short range. For the problem regarding the aim mode, well, just give us the option to turn off mouse acceleration. As of today, the controls option doesn't have mouse acceleration option in them. Having the option of turning mouse acceleration on or off adds customization to gameplay, and more importantly, the players can have better accuracies in aiming the bow. Plus, the bow charge system should be an input-based system where you have to hold click or attack when inside the aim mode. That way, the bow would have a better impact with each shot. Alternatively, if this won't work due to accessibility option, I think it is better to have an option for that specifically. This way, players can pick a specific preference for how they want their bow to work, but since my preference is not in the game right now, I demand this option to be added. Speaking of the charge system, I have a suggestion of expanding the bow charge system, which admittedly is inspired by Warframe. So you know that there's a hidden stat that can only be activated with certain characters called attack speed. I am positive that they are afraid to implement this as an actual stat because some of the weapon types in the game can't benefit through this stat, namely being the aim shot on the bow. But there is no reason not to implement another scaling system that makes aim mode benefit from attack speed. What I mean by that is that there should be a possibility to shorten the bow charge time using the attack speed stat. For example, having 2 times the attack speed halves the time to charge a fully charged shot, effectively doubling the damage. Of course, this would mean that attack speed would be an actual stat if they manage to implement this, and it basically amplifies and makes more variety of playstyle in the game, making the game feel fresher. With these suggestions to the problems, I hope the bow is a much more better and functional weapon type to use, because the aim mode and the headshot mechanic are great on paper, but suffers greatly due to technical problems.